Hello Taurus, Taurus rising and Taurus moon people. This is your monthly astrological forecast for January 2016. And this also is a good time to remind you, remember January is when I start rolling out the classes. It's time to start enlisting in classes, and I've got a lot of classes going on this month. I've got the tarot tutorship classes up for enrollment, as well as my special astrology love webinar, which is all about karmic relationships and compatibility and looking at all of those kinds of angles in love and understanding how love and love languages work in the zodiac. And if you want to sign up for any of those, you can always follow the links below or go to integrativemysticism.com, same place you'd go to sign up for a session with me. So, what is going on with January for the Taurus people? Well, January carries a lot of leftover themes from the end of December, and it's actually a really good leftover theme, to be honest. It's Saturn trine to Uranus. Between your 12th house, your secrets, your privacy, the end, the past, all of the stuff that might be unresolved issues, and your 8th house, which is all about resources that you share with others, anything where you actually have maybe another person handling money of yours, or maybe even your intimate life, things that we share with others in a big deal. And this angle is all about bringing order to chaos in a lot of ways. And if you feel like things have been a bit chaotic or a bit stagnant in terms of maybe getting things that are owed to you, perhaps we're trying to get money from a former business partner or an ex-spouse, or maybe we've been in a situation where we are not seeing a payout on an investment, this is a time for reconsideration and reconciliation. This is also a time to be working on allowing yourself to enjoy and explore more intimate sides of yourself that you don't share with others as much as you could. And because when Saturn and Uranus get together, between the 8th and the 12th, it's always talking about letting our guard down or reconsidering who we let our guard down to. If we've been very defended, very isolated lately, been a little bit reserved, a little bit back, it's time to start, maybe stop censoring yourself around people. You might think that you are not censoring yourself because you could be frank, you can be very matter-of-fact, you are a Taurus, but at the same time, you are censoring yourself if they still don't get to the crux of the matter. And so we have a lot of opportunity to rebuild intimacy and rebuild relationships during this energy as well, all throughout January. We also have Mercury, currently retrograde in your 9th house, Capricorn, up until probably about the 8th of the month. And when we have Mercury retrograde in the 9th house, it's talking about a need to pay attention to where there could be some flub-ups or there could be some confusion around any kind of government and legal proceedings, or maybe even your education as it applies to your work in the present. It's a great time to maybe brush up on some of your technical skills, but also at the same time I would be very careful about signing anything official as it relates to, say, a lawsuit, or again, maybe not filing your taxes early this year, Taurus. And also at the same time, just be a little bit careful with any kind of wheelings and dealings you're doing online. I would wait and see what we can do maybe after the 12th when Mercury goes direct. Now, in between that time, Mercury will slide away from Capricorn and back into Sagittarius for only a few short days. And again, this is going into your 8th house. And I feel like with Mercury retrograde, we tend to see a boomerang in the 8th house. Very different kind of Mercury than when it's in the 9th. And for that few days, there is an opportunity again for something that is owed to you to come back to you. After that, Mercury goes direct and then moves back into Capricorn, where it's all systems go in the 9th house. If you have been looking to try and maybe get some traveling taken care of, move abroad, or maybe even go back to school, go back and take a new program, or maybe even launch an ad campaign or a social media campaign to promote your business, it'll be very successful if we hold our horses until halfway through the month. Also at the beginning of the month, though, going back to the beginning, we've got Venus moving into Pisces, into your 11th house of friendships and social networking, where Venus will be all month long. And with Venus in the 11th house, it's a glorious opportunity for those of you single Tauruses who are looking for love, because we have your friends actually providing you with options and opportunities. During this time, you may find that a friend and you have a better chemistry than you could have expected, and it's time to explore that. But this can also be a time where maybe a friend is just offering to be matchmaker. I would also say that during this time with Venus in the 11th house, there can be an opportunity on the financial front for a relationship to suddenly become a little bit more mixed, between business and pleasure. So, it's always important to make sure that if that creates a conflict of interest, we don't want that there. Okay, we want to make sure that we keep everything in good proportion. But the nice thing about Venus here is that for the most part, your social life is going to be in a very good way, especially for those of you that may have been spending a little bit of time maybe keeping your love life and your social life separate. We can merge them back together. Later on in the month, we have a full moon in Cancer on the 12th, which is falling in your 3rd house of communications, contracts, pacts, and promises. And with this full moon, this could indicate the ending of some kind of binding written or legal agreement that maybe actually has been holding you back a little bit. Sometimes when we see a full moon, we have an opportunity to escape a binding contract. Maybe you don't want to be with the cell phone provider you have anymore. Maybe we're trying to get out of a lease early, or we're looking to maybe renegotiate a refinancing opportunity. This is the moon that you want to see in that area for that. I also see, though, with the full moon in the 3rd house, in the last 2 weeks of the month, things could be a little bit stressful when it comes to handling people that we have hired to help us. So don't be surprised if during this time you may need to be thinking about maybe finding a different provider of any of those kinds of services, whether it's a hairdresser, an accountant, a realtor. Who do we normally call on when we need that service rendered? It may be time to think about a replacement. Later on the 19th, we've got the Sun moving into Aquarius, into your 10th house of career, where the Sun will stay basically from the 19th of this month well into the 3rd week of February. And this is talking about not only getting more out of your career, but also making it much more fertile. When we talk about fertility with the Sun, it's talking about a higher yield. How do we increase the amount we are getting out of something for the same amount of work? This is a great time to boost your reputation, or even consider making, a few extra demands, or maybe asking for a raise if that's what you want to do. The Sun here is also going to put you in a much more prominent position for those of you who are looking to maybe actually consider other avenues. Maybe you want to post that LinkedIn profile. Maybe you want to start talking to recruiters. You will be you'll be attracting the attention of new employers that are actually going to be very competitive compared to the place that you are. The Sun is also going to be taking a lot of focus on you getting extra opportunities and extra work in January. So a lot of you who may be feeling a little bit of the holiday blues, because a lot of us are going to be blowing our budgets, this is a time where you're going to be seeing a swift recovery. Later on, actually just a week later, we have a new moon in this area of your chart, and it's new opportunities, new jobs, and new positions all around for the Taurus people. If you've been thinking about, again, moving on, this is the time to be really doing it. But this new moon could also grant you a new position, or maybe even a new responsibility from the same work situation. For those of you who are self-employed, I like a new moon in the 10th house because this can indicate a new income stream, or perhaps even a new service that you provide that will become extremely lucrative. Finally, we've got Mars, planet of action, passion, and energy, moving into your 12th house, your privacy, your private life, and your hidden zone. And when we have Mars go into the 12th house, it is a time to be bringing your platonic relationships closer, in a sense where we are going to be letting maybe friends and family into sides of our lives that we don't share with everybody. And that's what happens in the 12th house. We can bring much closer relationships. When Venus is in the 12th house, it's all about a love partner. But when Mars is in the 12th house, it's about letting people see what's going on behind the scenes with you. You may also find out that a friend or a relative could be sort of like an acting guardian angel during this time. And if you have any favors that you need to ask, they will be coming forward for you. However, with Mars in the 12th house from the last few days of January well into February, some of you may be feeling a little bit burnt out. It's a time of, it's a time that comes once every 2 years where we need to consider recharging our batteries, taking more space, taking more holiday time, and that's okay to do too. So that is your forecast, Taurus. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. You know I appreciate it. And of course, if you'd like to get a session with me, you can always follow the links below, or go to integrativemysticism.com.